Welcome back, Panther fans. I'm David Brown, along with Ryan Graham.
Hey, y'all.
Tim Thurber.
Hello.
And our special guest, Ben Moore.
Hey, what's going on?
And this is State of Atlanta. Welcome, everybody. Thanks, Ben, for being here tonight.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate you having me, for sure.
It's been a long time coming, actually, for sure. So I was thinking that we were a little low on content tonight because of obvious reasons, but as I started putting stuff together after talking to you, I think we got quite a bit, but we also have a few questions from me, and I guess from Ryan and Tim, and then I did put it out on social media, so we do have some social media questions for you. But before we get into that, first thing I want to talk about is we did a State of Atlanta happy hour on Thursday. And it was the first attempt at this, and I am pretty green at putting out open video calls to the internet. So
yeah, it turns out don't put it on Twitter.
Excellent.
Yeah, it was all in all, it was a good showing. We had a good time. It was good to see a lot of friendly faces and have a few drinks and talk about Georgia State and what we expect to see out of this season, hopefully, or whether we're going to have a season. But yeah, we had some unwanted party crashers there the first few minutes.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
I saw more of somebody's genitalia than I'd like to, and then lots of other people's too. You know.
Exactly.
Basically, some Southern fans.
I believe they had nothing to do with Southern.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
They just happened to be there.
I think it was people have a filter on their Twitter, and they're just looking for people that have Zoom.us links, and they're just clicking on them, and they're just seeing who they can get.
And the link, you get if there's a PWD password like in the link,
it's in there. Yeah,
it goes right to it. So that's my mistake for doing that, which is like the link that I send to you guys. But do not put that on social media. So got a little bit going on. Fortunately or unfortunately, I'm not sure how you want to look at it. I was not recording that call, so we do not have any video evidence. But I think I'm okay.
Well, I think Norm was the only one that was sad there's no video.
Yeah, because Norm came in way late in the game. Everybody else was kind of like, "Oh, what's happening right now? What's happening right here?" But
and I was just cracking up. I thought you were laughing too, but you were steadfastly trying to figure out how to boot them all from the chat.
It was a combination of things. So we were actually doing our family dinner while I was doing this happy hour. I do a number of these between doing this on Tuesday nights. Some friends and I do a Zoom happy hour on Fridays. I did a work happy hour. So my way of kind of doing another Zoom happy hour was, we'll do this during dinner and we'll be out on the back deck. It'll be great, which it was. But then I start like going, oh no, what is this? And my 3-year-old pops up, what is this? And I'm like, get the kid away. And so I'm trying to like get the people kicked out of the thing and putting up the lock, the waiting room, while also getting the kid from not seeing what was going on. So it was an adventure for sure. But yeah,
the person started sharing their screen, and it was porn, and I thought it was maybe like a Georgia State fan that had joined and was just making a mistake.
Right, it had pages, something like that.
Yeah, I'm pissed.
Yeah.
Just like whoops,
But I think it was
Meanwhile,
we may try to do it again. It was a good time. It was good to see some people. Maybe even once all this stuff is past us, we'll try to do it again as well, or keep it going as a regular Monday night or Thursday night thing or something. So, but yeah, I didn't ask you guys how you were holding up this week. Ben, you haven't been on before, so you got a couple of little ones at home. How's this whole thing treating you?
Yeah, it's good. My wife is officially resigning as homeschool principal, so we're done with that. She's had enough, and shout out to everyone that is a teacher or healthcare person, a professional. David and I were talking a little earlier before. My wife's has two aunts. Basically, both her aunts are nurses. One in ICU over there in Piedmont Henry, and then one works over there in Henry on the maternity ward as well. It's kind of been cross-trained as well. But no, all is well on our end, man. My wife's been working from home the entire time, basically kind of since go. I'm working kind of in the office 1 week at a time, and then we're swapping. So my client's in Smyrna, right down the street from the Battery, is 100% telecommute. They're a European-based company, so almost immediately they shut it down. I mean, really before even kind of the shelter in place or any kind of talking that went. So when I do go in, it's a ghost town, which is interesting.
Good,
just like
right? Yeah.
security walking around, and that's really about it. But no, we're holding up, man. The dogs get lots of walks, about 3 or 4 walks a day. So there's, they may be losing weight. I'm not. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm eating a lot.
When everything goes back to normal and you come home from a full day of work and the dogs were not getting walked like crazy, they're going to have all that pent up energy.
Oh, no doubt. Completely. We've destroyed their schedule. There's no doubt about it. They're up and ready to rock and roll. So, but no, all is well on my end, man. I appreciate you asking.
Good. How about you guys? How about Ryan, Tim? How things going for you? Same.
Same old. Just trying to get through every day and not realizing what day it is. And I don't know if I mentioned it, but I bought Xbox Game Pass. So it's like $14.99 a month, and you just get unlimited games. They've got like hundreds of games on there. It's like so you just whatever you want. So I've been playing the Outer Worlds.
It's definitely one of those kind of things where you wake up and you're like, wait, am I supposed to log in to work this day or not? I don't know what's going on right now.
This day. Yeah. Yeah.
How about same for you as well, Tim?
Yeah, pretty much. Just feel like I'm missing out with the kids to enjoy. Awesome
You're not. Don't worry, man. You're not.
Yeah, I am pissed off, though. I missed the Panther Talk happy hour. I was going to dial in while I was on a conference call. I'm glad I didn't, because that would have been a bad idea.
Trying to hide your laughter while,
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get into it. Ben, one of the reasons why I wanted to get you on was you had a pretty awesome – you have a lot of awesome tweets. You're out there, you're crazy with everything, sharing everything that's going on with Georgia State and really trolling all the guys that try to troll us. But you had a great tweet yesterday about basketball recruiting. So as of now, we're first in the Sun Belts for basketball recruits. And what was it, 69th nationally?
What is this recruiting talk? What's happening here?
That's
David, who are you? What's going on, man?
Tim and I were talking that this was something we need to talk about. It's big news for a very slow news cycle right now. And, man, I'm not the one to talk about recruiting, and especially not basketball. So got to get Ben on here to let us know what's really going on.
Well, and last time I tried, I was running on outdated information, and I very confidently lied to everybody.
Yeah. Of course, I don't think a lot of people take what you say very seriously. Anyway. I know I don't. Yeah, so Ben, tell us about it. We got a couple of new guys?
Yeah, absolutely. Last Wednesday was the regular signing period. So they have basketball is broken up into 2 different signing periods. You have the fall in November. Really kind of starts just after the season starts, and then they have folks that have signed, and we signed just one guy, Caleb Scott out of North Carolina, Holly Springs, North Carolina, about 6'8", 220 pounds, really, really tough power forward. Actually came and took a trip from the Charlotte area down to Atlanta for an official visit, and then took in some games as well at the Sports Arena. So he's super excited about getting down. And then at the end of the season, of course, Josh Linder exits, Cavante Ivory exits, so you have scholarships available. And Coach Lanier has been really, really deliberate in terms of where he wants to go, what positions. The biggest thing is you have 3 high major transfers coming in, JoJo Toppin from Georgia, Ryan Boyce from Memphis, and then Elil Nasemi from Cincinnati. So it kind of addresses the needs and really only had one contributing senior in Damon Wilson. So, we're starting to kind of evolve and see the players that will be the Rob Lanier type guys, moving away from the Ron Hunter, kind of 4-guard offense or stretch 4 guys like that. So there was a lot of interesting, offers that started, sneaking out over the last few weeks. Evan Johnson from Oak Hill Academy, big-time point guard. And I think that's the biggest thing that we'll start to see in this program. It's not only just the size. And we saw it last year, going and get 2 bigs, getting Jalen Thomas and Joe Jones. Quite honestly, those are not guys that we saw in our program in probably a decade and a half. These dudes are grown men coming in as freshmen, and they're 18 or 19 years old, and they're going to get bigger.
I said that about Joe Jones in that first exhibition game. I had not paid a lot of attention to the recruits at that point. I'm like, who is this 34-year-old man playing on the team? It was he's a grown adult out there, and I noticed in that first game and following him along, and Joe Jones has become my guy this season. I was really enjoying watching Joe Jones play.
Yeah, we saw those 2 guys leave the program, and we're basically, our theory was that there was just so much talent sitting on the bench, sitting out a year, and that they saw the writing on the wall. Is that basically what you think too, or?
Yeah, I mean, there's only so many minutes to go around. I mean, it is a little bit, the rotations are a little bit bigger with Coach Lanier. Ron Hunter said it a ton. Hey, I'm only going to play 8 guys. So you guys get to pick which 8 guys are going to go. We saw there was games where there was 10 guys that played in the first half last year. So Coach Lanier is really, really comfortable playing a lot of guys. But I think you're starting to kind of get that carved out. Hey, this guy's a small forward. This guy's a power forward. You're not going to have a 6'6" center anymore. And he's really, really looking for athletic guys. And we were talking a couple weeks ago on the podcast, and I always, I tell anybody, a lot of times I catch up on the podcast just to make sure everything's working. But then I ask some questions, off the air too, and just say, okay, what does a Rob Lanier recruit look like? What are you looking? What are your staff looking? And he basically said, I want high IQ guys. We've got to get more athletic, and we've got to get longer. He wants guys getting the passing lanes. And that's really the last 2 signees, including, Colin Moore, who just signed today. He committed yesterday. 6'5.5" with a 7-foot wingspan. He's all arms.
Wow.
And just a tremendous athlete. Has big time leaping ability, and he's a guard. And I think you're going to continue to see the size in a lot of places, especially in the Sun Belt. You're going to see 6'1", 6'2" guards. And we saw the really strong guard from Little Rock. And he was 5'8", 5'9", little short Spitfire. You may have legit size up and down every single position, and it just keeps coming with waves. So I think that's the biggest thing that we're seeing for this program. And now, Coach Lanier has 1 scholarship left if he wants to use it. But as David hit on a little bit earlier, you're top 75 in the country right now in recruiting class. So the elite level recruiting that Ron Hunter was at has gotten even better moving into the high school ranks. And I think it's going to be an interesting mix as well, whether he wants to continue to go with the transfer portal or he wants to go through and find young guys because it's just you have depth on top of depth, and there's a ton of guys at the wing position that now starting to stack bigs as well. Where you're looking around, and to you guys' point, there's no doubt. Josh Linder, great kid, really never really developed a ton in his time here, and he just looks around and says, hey, I'm just not going to get the opportunity to play much. And same thing with Cavante Ivory. They did well finding opportunities this year when they had it, but I think those opportunities go away when you see guys just so much better than you in practice, and you realize, hey, they're going to be eligible. They're going to take my minutes, and I may be playing with the walk-ons.
Yeah, we wish the best of those 2 guys. It's not like there was anything wrong with them at all with the team. Hopefully they have great careers and everything. But, yeah, it looks like the team got strengthened by them taking off and bringing in some new players. So, again, I'm not the recruiting guy. I don't break down any of this kind of stuff. But so I know looking with football, and granted, the roster size in football is like normally significantly larger. But they say it takes 3 to 4 years before a coach can get in there and you can really say this is their team, their players finally running in their system. You made a comment about getting Lanier guys in there. Do you think that Coach Lanier is getting his guys, his team, a little bit faster than normal for basketball, or is he pretty much on par with that? Maybe a 2 to 3 year time frame it takes to get your guys in?
Yeah, I think it's it's a good question, and I think there's a lot of holdovers, but I think there's been a lot of buy-in. I think the thing that the struggle for Coach Lanier was just identifying leaders, and something that he talked about, and he's been very active too during this kind of quarantine time, getting a lot of information out there. And I'd encourage anybody to check out his website as well, CoachSpeak.net. That is run by him. He gets.
I've seen him retweet a lot of stuff, or do a lot of things from CoachSpeak.net. That actually is his.
It is his kind of his pet project. He wanted to give coaches a voice and write. They had the Kennesaw State head coach on. Did a rundown blog. They only won 1 game last year in Division I, and that was his first year as a head coach.
We talked about that. We talked about their 1 win.
Really, really struggling. But then you look at it now. They have a top 50 recruiting class. Right now they're number 1 in terms of the state in terms of recruiting. They're out recruiting Georgia Tech. They have 3 really good players that are going to come in and play right away. Now they're good players, but they're still also going to be freshmen. So go and continue to build and Kennesaw it's such a different animal. But I think that's the next step of this program now. Okay, so this is the way we expect to play. how getting, from the 1-3-1 defense to a man and moving into zone and being able to press and do some things that way. But identifying leaders. And Kane Williams is a senior. I think that's going to be, a huge opportunity as well. Seeing guys like Corey Allen play in games that matter. Justin Roberts continuing to get more comfortable. He was really one of the more clutch players, I thought, this season. And as Coach Lanier said several times, he won 10, 11 games, didn't play that much at DePaul. So you're getting into March and the games don't matter. I mean, you're already out. You're buried in the standings and things like this. The same thing with Corey Allen at Detroit when you only won 8 games this season. So I think it's going to be, that they know the expectation. And as we've I've laughed privately, 19 wins was a disappointment. That's kind of where we are as a program right now. So it's certainly a good thing.
Does that last loss even count? I feel like it doesn't, right?
Yeah.
They canceled that. They canceled that event, so I feel like it doesn't count.
Yeah, it was amazing, and as one of the reasons why I wanted to get Mike Holmes on to catch up and talk about, because we had talked about it a bunch, and we were going back the day of that game, and I mean it was literally a coin flip of not playing that game with fans. I mean, it was to that point, and they were just trying to figure out the logistics of literally having 2,500 or so people rush the sports arena and say, all right, we're boarding it up. Sorry, guys, you can't get in. You got to turn around and go back. So that almost happened. I couldn't imagine being a player or a coach and trying to prepare for that either, because we know any sporting event playing in front of no fans is beyond strange. It can
like a weird exhibition.
Record book.
Well, if you ask Southern, our football team knows what it's like to play without fans. So
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but like, who do I need to write a letter to make that game not count?
That's a good question. I'll work on that. I'll reach out to Mike and see if we can get it extracted from the record book.
As far as I'm concerned, any game against Southern doesn't count because I just don't want to acknowledge their existence. But Ben, you brought up Kennesaw State and what they're doing over there. This is not something I was going to talk about. But is Kennesaw State a team we should be playing every year in basketball or football or or other sports?
Yeah, we want to play them in basketball. We have played them in baseball, and certainly they're competitive in baseball and softball and kind of the Olympic sports. I think we've been trying to get a series for a couple of years in basketball. The trouble is they've just been really bad. And I think, when you have, then it gets to the point as well where Kennesaw kind of wants to get a little bit bold and say, hey, if you're going to let us play you, we'll come to your place, but you got to pay us.
Right.
And we're saying, okay, you're 35 minutes, 20 minutes away from us. Why? So they did, last year get in the close scrimmage with Coach Hunter, and it didn't end well for Kennesaw. It was very, very one-sided.
We should pay them to come to our house. That didn't make any sense. Why wouldn't we pay them?
Can we just get like an Uber Black SUV to get the team down, like a couple Uber Blacks, and get them to come down from Kennesaw? That doesn't cost anything, Take out Coach Lanier's auto allowance, That's like 1 month's payment, and we're good to go.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing too is you just don't want to get embarrassed. I mean, I think it's the same kind of argument that I almost have with our football team playing Georgia. Is you don't want to go up there and necessarily get boat raced so badly that you look like you're that far away. And we are. I mean, we've touted it. We stick our chest out there and certainly put it in the game notes. I know Mike does a great job kind of highlighting that. Listen, I know not all wins are created equal, but we have the most wins in the last 10 years in the state, and we've been in the NCAA tournament. Georgia and Georgia Tech have not. They've been largely irrelevant in their conference standings, and both of their coaches are on the hot seat, in my opinion, this upcoming season, and it just applies that much more pressure. But, yeah, I mean, to answer your question, I'd love to see, a basketball series certainly evolve. I don't know about a home and home necessarily just because –
that was my next question. Should we ever make the trip to Kennesaw? I mean, in basketball, alumni that would come out to a Kennesaw game up there,
Yeah, I mean, I think you just got to weigh it. I mean, the biggest thing, you got to look at and say, all right, so the old school RPI, if you won on the road, and especially no matter where you went, it was like a win and a half. So the new net ratings that the NCAA uses a little bit different. You can't really follow it too well. And the biggest thing is, again, you're talking about a 1-win program. They're probably dead last in net rating in the country. So no matter what happens, you don't want to play them just to play them. Yeah, you know,
But we played
almost,
D2 teams, right? So
right.
so drop a D2 team for Kennesaw. You know, I mean, it's not hard.
Listen, I agree with you. I have no issue with that. But what
the
what
Kennesaw game would count, though, right? The Kennesaw game.
Yeah, exactly. The D2 team is like playing an exhibition. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, I was looking at Kennesaw's record. I think they actually had 2 wins. One of their wins was an exhibition win, so they technically won 2 games.
Yeah, exactly.
But one just is erased in the record books because it was a D2 or whatever the other levels are considered.
Yeah, it was really bad. But I mean, again, their situation. I mean, they're a low major program, and I think that's the biggest thing too in basketball. There is a delineation. You know, we always talk about the group of 5 and the Power 5. In basketball, it's separated a little bit differently because you have over 350 basketball programs. You got low majors, you've got mid majors, and you got the high majors. And as we like to say too, every time a mid major beats a high major on any given point, an Angel gets to their wings. So,
Okay.
Yeah,
I would say for Kennesaw, like I want to play them, but I want them to be better. I want our win to actually mean something and help us, right? And we're obviously always going to be for now in a 1-bid league. Every win counts. I mean, we want to go for a higher seed, right? I mean, every game literally counts. You know, all those losses to lower net teams hurt us. Not that we made it this year, but still, if we had made it,
it doesn't hurt us because we're still a 1-bid league. So like, who cares? It doesn't matter. We could lose every single game going into the tournament, and as long as we made our top 10, I guess we can't lose every single game, right? You got to win at least a game so you can be top 10 in the conference and get into the conference championship. And if you can win out, you're done. You're in. You're good.
What are we talking about? Let's say we schedule Kennesaw State every single year, and we're beating them. Does that keep us from being ranked, 69th in the nation or 68th?
No.
Like how big of a difference does that one game really keep us? Especially
right. Yeah.
I think Ryan, maybe what your point was we're still in a 1-bid league, so all it matters if we win the conference championship.
Yeah, who cares? Just play Kennesaw.
That win or loss over Kennesaw is probably not going to change our seeding. We're still going to get that 14th, 15th seed, anyways. But
that was exactly my point. I meandered around it, so thanks.
If you have a high major and you replace Kennesaw with a high major and you beat them, that could push you in a higher seed.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
Well,
I don't. I just don't believe you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to see it, but I don't believe it.
The biggest thing is too the financial aspect too. You got to think about it, fellas. You have a high major team that's paying you. Like when we played Alabama over there, they paid us to come over there and beat them. And that money, it's certainly not Alabama football money where you get $1.2 million or $1.3 million to show up. But I mean, that does pay for road trips and charters, and because the Sun Belt schedule, as we've seen, is pretty ugly. The Thursday, Saturday games where you're at Coastal Carolina one night and you got to go out for a Monday night game at Arkansas State. That's basically a Sunday night flight into Memphis and then going over, and then it's not terribly drivable in the conference unless you're heading down I-16.
Yeah,
some of those things
definitely
pay for it.
We need to fire whoever does scheduling, because scheduling seems to me to be one of the easiest things. I get so irate. I look forward to schedules in all sports that I follow, like Georgia State football, basketball, the Falcons, Braves.
He does. It's so weird.
I get so
schedule obsessed.
It's so simple to do as far as like keeping teams very, very the parity in there, where teams are, you don't have one team that's on 3 games in 5 days on the road and coming home to a team that has been on a bye or has been playing at home for 2 games over the course of 2 weeks or something. It's ridiculous. There's a lot of math that goes into this, but even the rec leagues, I've played sports and know how to keep it even, where you have the same number of home games as away games and everything. So Sunbelt, if you're listening, hire me, and I'll get the schedule out really well, and I guarantee
no one will complain except for Southern fans, but you can ignore that because
I won't favor any team or penalize any team. I promise. I look so stupid doing that just now.
It's like, did I just hear you say wink? Did I just hear you say wink?
I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions that I was saving. I have a segment just for questions for Ben, but since we're talking basketball, it makes sense to talk about this now. What do you think happened to the men's team at the end of the season? So when I talked about earlier, the exhibition game, watching that, seeing my first taste of Coach Lanier's offense, defense, very, very aggressive, very, very fast paced. I loved it. It was exciting. It was a lot of fun basketball to watch. But I came on here and I said the very first week, it looks like it'd be something that could wear the kids down. If they don't have that stamina to stay up, for the entire season, we get the second half, these guys may be gassed and not be able to keep up with it, especially with our crap scheduling from the Sun Belt. Thanks a lot, Benson, or was Benson even still there when we got the schedule? I forget.
Who knows?
So was it a case, am I right? Did the guys just get worn out, or did something else happen, or what was going on there?
I think it's a couple of things. We go back, and I think we maybe have discounted how much we lost from that NCAA back-to-back run as well, in terms of leadership, in terms of seniors, in terms of the guys who actually did play. You look at guys like Damon Wilson, who was a senior. He was a bench player last season, so he played more minutes than he's ever played, basically, even transferring from Pitt. Kane moving up forward. Don't necessarily think Kane wore down. He just really struggled at times and really looked bad against Georgia Southern in both games that he played. I mean, just uncharacteristically. But you look at some of the bigs, and we were talking about them earlier, like guys like Joe Jones and Jalen Thomas. They're freshmen. Most freshmen in high school, you're playing basically about 21, 22 regular season games, moving into like region or state tournament, and you're not having the back-to-back. You're not having a Thursday, Saturday. You're not having travel. You're not having those kind of things. So all that stuff was new for them. Also college-level classes and scheduling and understanding that part of it. And I think the other side as well is guys that just weren't in the position, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, of big-time games. Up until really the last 10, 12 days of the season, that team was competing for a bye, bye straight to New Orleans.
We played Duke and was it Georgetown? We played
back-to-back games.
Lights out. It come out of the gate, and that was one of the criticisms we had of Coach Hunter. I think we all agree, Coach Hunter is the best coach we've ever had. With all due respect to Lefty Drizel, but he was always weak out of the gate. We always faltered or just came out slow and lethargic at the beginning of the season, and then would come back and just run SBC for the most part. So it was really exciting seeing us play so well against Duke and Georgetown, and then talk about big games, and then we can't beat Troy a couple of times against lesser talent.
I still don't understand what the curse of the Troy Trojans and what Trojan Arena. I mean, that place has been.
They just got us. Yeah.
Yeah, some teams have your number, and Troy definitely has ours. So I don't know.
There's no question. But I think that the biggest thing, the lessons were learned from that last 2-week stretch, where you just, whether it was mental fatigue, whether it was physical fatigue, whether the team just wearing down. Guys like Corey Allen didn't shoot well to the point where Coach Lanier benched him. I mean, basically put him on the bench. And, there were times in the early part of the season where he looked like the best player on the court.
He was either lights out or out like a light,
and he just looked lost. And I think the biggest thing, when his shot's not going, he can be a defensive liability at times. And I think that's the next level of his game that he has to work on to know, hey, look, if I'm not getting shots, I need to be able to at least contribute and be able to play and go rebound or getting passing lanes and things like that. And I think guys, too, you start to realize as well, okay, here's my role, here's how it changes. And when you had guys, moving around, moving in different places, I think
it's funny you say moving in different places. My video screen, you just moved from top left to bottom right.
All over the place. No, but I think it was a learning experience for those guys, and I think again losing only one senior that contributed in Damon Wilson will help, because you're going to have those guys who are hungry to get back and hungry to go back to the NCAA tournament. And this is Kane's last ride too, and that's that can't be discounted. When you have a senior who said, "Look, this is my last time playing a season, playing college basketball," and to put on his resume potentially 3 NCAA appearances in his 4-year career, it's insane. I mean, I went back and looked at his numbers versus Devontae White. Tay White's one of my favorite players all time at GSU, and Kane probably has had a better career already than Tay White has, and he's going to blow his numbers. I just saw the note today. I mean, he's 26, I think, all time in scoring right now. Kane is an elite defender, and he's going to continue to come back and get stronger, and honestly get a little aggravated because his march didn't end in NCAA tournament berths. He got to go home on his home court too. I know that stings him big time.
So yeah, I felt like we needed Corey Allen down the stretch. Like he just faded away to nothing.
Really
And
struggled.
like you said, like defensively, he was a liability at times, especially when he missed his shot, whether it was a three or anything. He just faded away in the background and was timid, didn't want to shoot anymore, and we needed him bad for point production. But talking about King Williams, man, for next year with all the recruits, you better be throwing some alley-oops next year.
I will ask him and tell him that JoJo Toppin is an elite defender and an elite leaper. He's many folks remember Isaiah Dennis. He took number 4, had about a 41 or 42-inch vertical in his 5'10" body. And JoJo is about 6'4.5", 6'5", with about a 43-inch vertical himself. He's ridiculous. He is one of the most explosive leapers I've ever seen. And if you saw his quote, his goal is to win the Defensive Player of the Year in the league.
Yeah,
And he's gonna be.
Wait, what do you mean by, what does he mean by league? Conference or
yeah? He wants to be this.
Like
he wants to be the Sun Belt Defensive Player of the Year.
All right.
Look, as the great Lefty Drizel said, I've got enough idiots that can score. I need to stop the other guy from scoring. And JoJo wants to do that for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
That'll be weird.
Alley-oops specifically in the Southern game too, right? I mean,
well, yeah, to stop them from dunking on us as well, because they were like the dunk show against us in both the games they played it. I don't remember the game we played down there because did I even watch that game or was I drunk somewhere? I can't remember.
I think you were drunk on the Beltline.
Probably so. That sounds right. I mean, you have better memory than I do. Also, by the way, good koozie there. So yeah, nice.
Shout out to Joey and
who is
the key is to drink your beer fast enough to not need a koozie.
There you go. Wise man.
Part of it is just because I want to.
It's a great koozie.
So Ben, you've talked about this before on Panther Talk, but just for the podcast here, what are your impressions on Coach Lanier in his first season? Was it, did he live up to expectations, exceed them, or where do you think that we are today, based off where you thought we'd be last? Was it October, November? When we started the season?
I think it's interesting too because expectations tend to rise and fall during the season, and I think to your earlier point, how well that team played going to Cameron Indoor Stadium and which was going to be the eventual number 1 team before they lost in a couple weeks after playing us. To go lose at Duke by 9, to go and have a lead in the second half against Georgetown, and that was a game really. I came away disappointed, saying, "Hey, we really should have beat Georgetown. That was a quality Georgetown team. It's probably going to win at least 20-some games, get into the tournament." And I think you saw that mentality and playing hard and scoring. I mean, I think I was more impressed with this team's ability to score. And you just look at it, you didn't remove a whole lot of scoring off this team either. It wasn't really Damon Wilson's role. So you're going to have all that scoring firepower back. You're adding more defense. You're adding more size. You're adding another year of, basically experience for some of the young guys. But I think in terms of expectation, I think it kind of was right there at the net expectation. I didn't really know how hard it would be to replace the amount of scoring, losing DeMarcus and Malik and Jeff Thomas and Devin Mitchell. That whole group basically. You have a ton of scoring, a ton of experience. And I didn't know how well, some of the new guys could shoot. And we saw that pretty evidently. Justin Roberts is a big-time shooter. And I think you saw some guys start to kind of get into their role and carve it out and get better. I also think you saw some role players contribute. We didn't see that a lot in Coach Hunter's time here. You didn't have guys that were kind of surprised as 9th, 10th guys on the bench who popped in and could give you 3 or 4 games where they can go out and, wow, that guy scored 15 tonight. Amazing. Josh Linder was a factor at times. Cavante Ivory was a factor at times, hit big shots. I think overall was impressed with, basically how, he built the team kind of going into the season. Certainly the last 2 weeks shaded a little bit just because the team really fell apart offensively and just blew leads. And that's the thing that I think a lot of fans really struggle with. It's one thing to lose games.
If any fans struggled with us losing leads, they were not watching during the Coach Hunter era.
That's true. We did that really well.
Always made you nervous. You get up by 14, you win by 3. That was
exactly. So what do you think the ceiling is for this? Or I guess first part is, where do you think the preseason rankings will be for us in the Sun Belt to finish? And what do you think the ceiling is for this team going into next season?
Yeah, I definitely see this team as probably a top 3, top 4 pick by the media next year. You still have, Little Rock, who won't lose basically a single person of note. That team was really, really good. They were very disappointed. South Alabama as well will be sneaky good. They lose, an all-conference type player in Josh Ajayi. They've loaded up on transfers as well, and graduate transfers. I was talking to Doug Conkwell, who's the publisher of Jags Jungle 24/7, our sister site over there, and they went and picked off a guy who's 6'8", 200 pounds, and has attempted over 100 threes and hit 40% of them. So they're building, and they were really disappointed this year. They wanted to make a run at the NCAA's as well. Southern's a complete mess, which I know will not harm a single person's. I know you won't have any tears for anybody.
What a shame.
For that.
Guys. I know. Quick recovery, guys. State pride, Georgia. Come on, guys. We need you to be up there.
Yeah,
make everyone look better.
Speaking of getting a game in Kennesaw, they might want to call Kennesaw and see if they can get a game. Get a couple.
They may not want to bring in a team that's going to beat them. So
yeah, but no, I think you'll see it, and I think depending on the schedule, I'm excited to see it. I mean, definitely get back over 20 wins. I think that's really the benchmark for this program, and I think that's the expectation. And the expectation is going back to the NCAA tournament. And I think there's enough talent in this program right now to get back. Definitely win the league. Definitely win the regular season and get back and win the tournament. As Ryan said, I mean, only 2 days matter in the Sun Belt basketball tournament overall. Ultimately, is those now those 2 days in Panama City, moving out of New Orleans, but we'll go down there. And,
whoa,
we'll
Pensacola.
Definitely be a fan.
Yeah,
Pensacola. We love Pensacola.
Panama City, you're right.
I'm looking forward to that.
That's the same place. I didn't hear the difference.
It's all the same down there
There's
in Florida.
down there or something. Yeah, sorry.
It's
Lower Alabama.
It's not New Orleans. That's all that matters, right?
That's right. I just cheering on, not New Orleans.
Not New Orleans.
And you're going next year, David.
What's that?
And you're going next year.
I will be most likely going if we have a tournament next year. Who knows?
We could just cancel this whole thing. We could just be like going. We're the last sputtering of sports in general.
Exactly.
Period. Just end of story.
We keep talking about when it's going to start.
Yeah, we'll get to that. I want to transition from basketball to a little bit of football. As everybody knows, I don't really come up with any original content. I just steal stuff that people post online. So I think it was today, Nick Reese on Panther Talk posted that Phil Steele currently has Georgia State as the 49th toughest, this is football, 49th toughest schedule out of all 130 teams. Georgia Tech has the 3rd toughest schedule. Southern slightly ahead of us at 39th. UJ at 63rd. This doesn't make any sense to me. How
is it the 3rd toughest because they have to play Clemson, Georgia Tech,
and Notre Dame?
No, but who cares? Notre Dame's always overrated.
But a loss is a singular loss. Like, I don't know how does this strength of schedule play out. I thought it was talking about the number of wins versus number of losses. So granted, we played Bama, so that's almost certainly a guaranteed loss. Hi, Tennessee. But there's a guaranteed loss. There's the guaranteed win with Murray State. How is our?
Whoa! You're out of control.
Too far there.
I did the air quotes. The guarantee.
Yeah, that's too much. You still can't say
There's
things like
no
that.
guarantee wins. I get it. But what I'm saying is, like, are we just not favored to win? Is every single team we play this season just that superior to us?
I think ESPN FPI put out right at about 5.5. So you're kind of sitting at that number. App State's still going to be picked to win the league. Louisiana is very, very good on their side of the division as well. That's year 3 for Billy Napier. They're going to be loaded again. That's probably going to be the matchup in the championship game again, at least from the preseason pick. Arkansas State's always pretty stingy, even though we tagged them pretty good last year.
Yeah, that's fun.
And they were just they were just ravaged. We caught them at their probably one of their lowest points of the season, where they had somewhere in the neighborhood of a dozen starters who were out hurt.
I don't saw them about
blah 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 stats, numbers.
That's all that matters,
I like to say it's a team sport, and so like if your team can't weather the storm, then like you don't have a good team, and so.
Listen, we had a quarterback.
Loss, man.
They came in there and they won the Bayou Bowl, or was it called the Bourbon Bowl? I think Boucher's all you need. No, yeah, it was just weird. It's one little thing I'll talk about because like they had Clemson ranked as 118th as a strength of schedule, and I'm like, well, we know the ACC sucks, but
Does it suck that much?
that just makes no sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, but we would get our asses handed to us by nearly every ACC team, but yet playing a Sun Belt schedule with Bama, ECU, Murray State, and
I don't know if I believe you for last year. Last year, the ACC was really terrible. I mean, you got to think like they got handed losses. The UNC got handed a loss by App State. I mean, App State's good, but like they're still G5, you know.
Yeah, well, yeah, but App State is
Tech was like one of the worst teams in the country, you know.
And are expected to win 3 games again this year.
Yeah, they were terrible. I mean, just terrible.
Can we, if we have to do if this pandemic causes some out of conference scheduling, can we just like drop one of our schools and just play Tech here?
Let's go ahead and kick that home and home off a little early, right?
Exactly.
Nice.
Exactly. All right, that was all I got. I mean, I don't know if you guys are talking about football anymore. That was posted today, and I thought it was really interesting that we were ranked that high as far as the strength of schedule. This doesn't make sense to me.
Part of it is you've got 3 teams that, you know, and it is based off last year's record. And you look at it, I mean, you had App State who won 10-plus games. Again, Troy missed a bowl last season, so they've dropped off, but they've been very consistent over the last 3, 4, 5 years since we've been back in. And then, of course, like you said, you got the dominant program in Alabama. I think their over-under was like 11.5 in Vegas, too. So, I mean, you have an expectation where they're going to win a lot of games, of course, on their side of the in their division. But, I mean, to your point, how much better is East Carolina going to be? They have been good in the past, but they also have been pretty terrible in recent memory. You have the bottom of the league as well. Is Louisiana Monroe going to be better or worse? I mean, again, if Dan Ellington doesn't get hurt in that game, there's no doubt in my head.
Yeah,
no one can win
that game handily. To look at our record, if you look at our record alone going into next season, it's impossible to dictate with anything because if you would have taken that first half team with the same healthy players and played a full schedule, our record looks way different. If you've taken that last half team and played it for the entire schedule, it looks way different.
Right.
You've got to really pay attention to like what's going on. Now, granted, we lost Trey and we lost Dan, so we've lost those people. Well, one of those pieces that got injured and everything. But yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting. We'll get into a little bit more about just in general college football later on because that's where I've got it listed in my notes.
We're following your lead.
I want to get through, look at some other Georgia State information, news, what have you. Did you guys read the Charlie Cobb email that came out yesterday on Monday? Ryan, I skimmed it. I knew. I should have started off with. I know that Ryan is not read this, but it's not like Ryan doesn't get these emails. It's not like Ryan's on a Georgia State themed podcast where he's going to talk about stuff. Yeah, he just no. I'm a man on the street. That's all.
They're a little wordy, I get in there, and if I have to scroll, I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna read this.
This was probably one of the longer ones I thought.
Do you think that Charlie Cobb writes at a grade level so high that you can't understand what he's saying?
No, I can understand him.
Man,
what chooses not to.
It's not like he's like going to be using vowels and shalls and everything.
He does coach speak though, so like I'm usually confident I'm not going to get a lot of anything of meaning that I didn't already know out of it. So like I'm like if there's anything people will point it out, it's fine. I'll learn about it.
Yeah, exactly.
So tell me what I missed, Dave.
Yeah, all right. Here's where we go. Here's what I took from this, and you guys tell me what you got or what you thought about it. So unsurprisingly, stopped spending money. They transferred money from reserves, which I found interesting because our budgets say that we spend every single dollar that we bring in.
I've always seen completely balanced budget.
Like
nonprofit, baby.
We brought in $3.7 million and we spent $3.69. So yeah, said that they paid $2 million towards the 188 MLK transformation for football to soccer, and there's a funding campaign coming. They said they paid for it, but they have a funding campaign, so they didn't pay for it. $1.5 million for the Convocation Center construction, which is still underway, so no fears about that, which is great. he did throw a little dig. I take this as a dig at Cheryl. He says he came in, or 5 years ago, we were a fund balance deficit. So we're out of that. But then
that's okay. All the digs he wants to take against her, it's all good.
But here's the
That's
part
what you do when you're president, right?
What's that?
You take digs at the previous one. When you're president, you take digs at the previous one.
That's all you can do, right? But what I really liked that he did, hopefully, there he is. Okay, Ben's back. He said that they're moving forward with their budget as if football and basketball will be played.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, because if they don't, we've got nothing.
Right.
You can say, because I think that a lot of people read that as going, oh, this is his way of saying we're totally going to have football and basketball next season. No, I think this is his way of saying is if we don't have football and basketball, we're effing screwed.
I've said this in other podcast episodes, but there's no way they don't play it somehow, some way, whether it's rescheduled or limited participation for audience or something like that. We've just had too much time to plan like other alternate ways of playing the season. Or like that's where they with March Madness and all that just like happened. So they kind of had to. They didn't have any time to think about it. They didn't have time to do very much. They just kind of had to make a decision, and they made it. NBA made the decision, but now they have time. So
and then there's people like us, and there's people that get paid money to do this that have nothing to write about or talk about, and so you've got to just sensationalize everything to get that content, that eyes on the whole picture, whatever it is. So I thought that was interesting. And then I thought this was funny. He was vague about everything going on, man. Just like, this happens, blah, blah, blah. And he answers, this was not an easy letter to write. I'm like, really? Because you didn't really give a lot of detailed information. You kind of beat around the bush the whole deal. So
I bet $10. I bet $10 he didn't even write it.
I'm glad I didn't miss anything when I read it.
No, it's written like someone from App State wrote it. He used a 100-year condition or pandemic or like 100-year thing like twice in there. I'm like, he uses little buzzwords. But so if he's saying it's really hard to write and it really didn't convey that much information that was negative, are things really worse off than they are? Being told.
So when I was reading it, I got to the end and I was like, I read that statement about, and I was like, oh, did I miss something? And I went backwards. Exactly. And I was like, wait, I didn't miss anything.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy I didn't waste my time.
You got all you need right here, Ryan.
Let's see what else we got. All right, Ben, did you have anything to say about what Cobb had to say? I know you got to be a little bit more PC than us.
Listen, I'm glad he's reaching out. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, the construction, I think that's the biggest thing. The next steps are, hey, are the Convocation Center, is that on track? And that's the biggest concern, obviously, for men's basketball program, and that's for, folks around the program as well. And then, hey, when does baseball start after it? Because we know there's a step process in it. So the construction industry isn't, slowing down. These projects are still going. In fact, they probably are getting done a little bit easier because you don't have folks in the way and they're not having issues there. But, there are reserves that Georgia State can do. But to your point, I mean, I think, if I recall correctly, I mean, you read about $1 million last year out of the $38 million budget, 36, whatever the number is that gets reported publicly, was ticket sales. So you have to replace that $1 million somewhere. And that's, then you compound the other side, playing in Alabama, that's $1.2 million that you potentially lose as well. So you have to find that money somewhere. And then you get into situations where, all right, well, what's going to happen next? And to Ryan's point, you have a lot of folks that are planning, but then you also have a lot of scrambling to that effect as well. Is, okay, do you play it in a building with no fans? How do you travel around your teams? Do you have to alter the schedule potentially? Do you just play conference games? The biggest thing, and I've talked to probably about 6 or 7 assistant coaches around the country, not just here in Atlanta, but just asking them, okay, what's the deadline? Like, what makes sense for you guys? And they basically said, middle of July. That's really what we're looking at to play a solid season. They're trying to get in front of these guys, getting them to lift, getting them to eat, getting them to do what they're supposed to do. But as has been said on multiple occasions, I mean, not every situation is the exact same. You don't have protein powders, you don't have muscle milk, you don't have the ability to go and lift in your houses. There's only so many push-ups and sit-ups you can do to not only just maintain but not lose. I mean, you think about offensive, defensive linemen, how much weight they're potentially losing, and mass that they're losing to be able to kind of go get out there and face an Alabama in week 2, or being able to handle an August practice and things like that too. So,
but if everyone has to do that, then it sort of equals out, right?
Levels,
so, like
right.
you'd think so, right? That
Sure.
if the level of whatever weight, strength, whatever,
Mhm.
just goes down across the board, you'd hope it's equal.
yeah, it's not just one school or one conference. Agreed. It's
Yeah.
everybody. All 130 have to deal
And
with
so
it.
you still play the games. You don't just say like, "Oh, we couldn't get our strength and conditioning," because no one did. So you just go.
Well,
Right.
and it's not like the blue chip schools have players that all come from money as well. I mean, you've got
Oh,
players
yeah, no
that come from from dirt
Yeah.
poor. So they're going back home and don't have money, again, air quotes there, because they don't get paid.
Because they're paying them.
Yeah, so
Tim.
I mean, they're not.
Hey, man, the bag man hangs out on
Somewhat
campus.
be.
All right.
Or maybe this is the chance where we actually see this next season the kids actually come from money actually do really well, and like it's like an anomaly that the players that weren't that great last season are actually really good this season because they were able to like still work out in their home gym and their nice dinners prepared by their cook or mom or whatever.
Cook.
So speaking of Alabama, I read that every player got an Apple Watch, and they're all looking at all their workouts and recording it, and all the strength conditioning coach can see if they worked out. So I mean, they're trying.
Were they given Apple Watches by the university?
Yeah, the details are a little hazy because as soon as that came out, people realized that's actually an NCAA violation. Because you can suggest, you can implore, you can do things that way. You can't pin on kids.
Can't force them to.
You have to do it. Exactly. So these workouts, air quotes, are voluntary during these times. I think the biggest thing, what will hurt a lot of schools, including our own, is teams that have quarterback battles, guys that did not have enough spring practice, and guys that have not been able to work with the receivers and the offensive line and things like that. The veteran teams will do better in this time because they can kind of assimilate, jump right in, and go. But one way or the other, we're starting a freshman quarterback.
I was gonna say, good thing we're starting a freshman quarterback. So
pick one.
that doesn't apply to us whatsoever at all.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, and that's why I think the playbook is going to look very, very different in September than it will in October and November. If the season does start on time.
So one thing I was thinking about as we were talking about the scheduling and like different options, and if they're playing in front of not a crowd, right? If it's an empty stadium, if that's what they end up doing, then it actually ends up making a lot less sense for pay games, period. So like Alabama doesn't actually care about having an extra home game on the schedule, which is why they pay us $1.2 million is so they can sell more season tickets. But if they're giving all their money back on season tickets, then hell, maybe they're canceling our game because it just doesn't make sense to pay us $1.2 million, or maybe they're paying us like way less to come out there. I don't know what it ends up looking like.
And I think there's always contract clauses to get out and to buy out these games, and I think that's also too where the SEC comes in. We saw it happen a couple of years ago with Memphis. You had the American Athletic Association come in and say, hey guys, this game because of the hurricane, and just said, hey, this got rescheduled. We have to play it for conference scheduling. Could we see that happen where where non-conference games basically go by the wayside if folks aren't on campus? And the other wrinkle is as well as no two states are exactly the same right now. So you have some who can say, hey, I may be able to get kids back on campus in May or June, and you have some who may not be able to get till July. So, you don't want to necessarily create an unfair advantage from one state to the next. And I think that's something that conferences are going to have challenges leveling. And the other side too, do you just play conference games only? Do you play a 9-game conference schedule, start it either in the middle or the end of September, and just eliminate all the non-conference games? And you talk about the huge money games. And the week before we play Alabama's playing in Arlington in a huge pay game as well. So all that stuff is thankfully not decided by us and folks who have a whole lot more skin vested in than we do.
Yeah, that Arlington game has a lot of TV money tied up into it, though, too.
No doubt.
So whereas ours probably just I mean, I don't know how those contracts work. If they say no, you're giving us 12 games, or what. But if they don't care about our game, then we're SOL.
Right.
All right, Ben, your PR agent's blowing up my phone right now saying that you have another obligation this evening. So, we will get back to you again with some of these questions. We still have
good, man.
questions for everything. Maybe we can do another part 2 to this later on in the week or something, or maybe just pick it up next week. But I want to thank you for joining, and Ryan and I will continue going on with all the craps that I came up with to talk about and whatever else.
Thanks for coming out, man.
Yeah,
whatever else they brought, but what I mean
it.
is whatever else Tim brought, because we know Ryan brings absolutely nothing to the table every week. So
I talk a lot for bringing nothing to the table. All right, I just come up with it, man. This is just my style.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks for being here, for chatting with us, and hopefully we can get you on more regularly.
Absolutely, let's do it, man. Enjoy your evening, boys. Appreciate it.
Cheers, man.
All right. As he tries to figure out where the button is on the screen. All right. I'm going to suggest that we guys take a little bit of a little break here ourselves to go replenish our booze and empty our bladders, because one of the great things about Ben being on here and talking, I found, is he talks so much that I get a chance to drink a lot. So my cooler is next to empty, sitting here next to me, and my.
Are we just coming back with last call, or?
Oh no, I got a lot to talk about.
He's probably got a list of things we haven't gotten to.
Yeah, and I think we're almost an hour in right now, and so this is a long episode. But I got nothing better to do. How about you guys?
No, I'm good. But find a good stopping point for last call. That's all.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I'm gonna lean over my monitor that I can't see right here to pause this. Yeah, so we'll be back in a minute. All right. And we are back, which was like no time for anybody listening. Or that matter. I didn't mention this before, but you'll notice I am not in my basement right now.
I noticed, but there was enough to talk about that I didn't want to point it out yet.
Yeah, my screen on my computer broke. I'm just using my webcam to do everything, so I'm using my monitor here to do this whole thing. So I didn't want to haul all that down to the basement. So
how'd you do that, man?
I did not do it, but we won't talk about it. So
okay. I just auto assumed it was you drunk. You know.
Hey man, I get it.
A fair assumption. I don't blame you. I don't think anybody would believe it was not me that did it. But anyhow, the next thing I had to talk about before Ben left was the 10-year documentary that's coming out
Thursday.
Yeah, a couple of days, or tomorrow as you listen to this on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Are you guys going to be watching it? It's the exact same time as the first live sporting event. Since this whole pandemic lockdown went on, it's during the NFL draft, I will not be watching. How about you guys?
I'll probably be watching the draft. One thing that I am frustrated with is I wish I knew a little bit more about the medium in which we will be watching it together. Like, you have to, they sent out the email and you have to click the link and register on something that I think it's like Ticketmaster. And then they'll send you the information. And I'm like, well, what's the information? Like, what are we doing?
Did you watch the first chapter?
No.
Okay, so I think the first chapter kind of gives you, going through and watching the first chapter kind of gives you an idea about what the process is going to be. But yeah, it's like you said, you go through I think a Ticketmaster link or something. But heads up to everybody out there that's intelligent and uses ad blockers. I had to turn my ad blocker off just for the actual video screen to come on to see everything. And there was nothing that clued me in that the ad blocker was the problem. It was just a big black box and everything. But
so is there a chat? It's a watch party, right? So
I don't know if it's a watch party. Is it a watch party, Tim?
I don't know if it's a watch party. I got the email today about Thursday.
Yeah.
And you click the link and it takes you to this page and it says click here to watch, but the play button's disabled, and I feel like you're just gonna click play.
Yeah, actually, was your ad block disabled? Because I bet if you had gone there without that, it probably would have played the first chapter.
It was because I did it on my work laptop.
And you allow ads?
There is no ad blocker. No, they don't.
All right, fair enough.
But we should plan some kind of watch party. We've talked about this a little bit. But
when it first was announced, I kind of talked about that, but that was before I realized it was the same time as the NFL draft. So I'm going to watch, as I said, it was Michael Klein that pointed this out on Panther Talk. So props to him. Once again, I'm stealing things other people have said.
Content stealer.
It is, yeah, absolutely. That's all I got. I have never had an original thought in my life. It is at the exact same time as the first sporting event that has any kind of interest by anybody since this whole thing went down. Only thing I can think is, and I said we would never use the term GSUing it at all when we did this whole podcast, but literally we are in unprecedented times with this whole lockdown and the way everything is going on. Why would you do this present? And I know they want to do a Thursday because we love Thursday.
No, that's not a real thing.
But why?
That's not a real thing.
Think about it like, they do the third Thursday before that was ever a thing. But this is not third Thursday. Why would you schedule this thing to be streamed during the draft? Like, this literally has a chance to have its best viewership ever as far as something that Georgia State would do if you did it any other time. Because
Wednesday.
Wednesday. People are so starved.
A week later.
A
week before.
Yeah. And obviously it's already and done. They should have done it last Thursday when we did our happy hour, because the reason why I picked that week was because it was the third Thursday. It kind of replaced that.
Right, yeah.
Alumni week, Thursday thing, whatever. So I don't know why we did that. It has to be complete oversight or undersight.
Oversight.
Yeah. Whatever. Yeah, I mean, I understand both words for this.
I think, I have a busy Thursday. I got trivia at 7. They moved it an hour earlier to not compete with the NFL draft.
Yeah.
Fantastic idea. And then I think
how do you do trivia?
It's Hampton and Hudson, just down there by all the cool kids. I'm in Sandy Springs, so I'm not one of them. They do trivia every Thursday for like an hour. It's like 50, 60 questions. I think you can like form teams and stuff like that.
Yeah, but is it via a Zoom meeting or?
I think it's via a link. I haven't done it yet. I had some friends that said it's fun. So
thank you, David, for actually asking the question I wanted.
Right, I was trying to figure out how you got to. Because I saw there's Dirty South Trivia and they're doing a Friends trivia, but it's going to be via something like this.
I think it's Instagram Live.
And I'm assuming you just go to the chat and you chat to the administrator what your answer is for each question. That's what I'm assuming it is.
Yeah.
I've got no idea.
So then at 8, I'm going to try to watch the draft and the presentation, which means it's kind of like being in a work meeting, right? Where you're.
Are we going to get Excel spreadsheets and?
Yeah.
It's going to be an XFL draft.
The thing is, if I'm watching the Georgia State documentary, I've got to put 100% of my attention on that.
Right.
If I'm watching the NFL draft, I do not need to put my 100% attention to it. But if I'm putting any attention to it, I'm not paying enough to the documentary.
Yeah.
So
I feel like
I'm going to watch the draft, and even though the Falcons will be later into the picks because I approve of winning those 4 games at the end of the season. I'm just not going to watch. I'll watch the Georgia State thing later on, and maybe we'll do something with that. Maybe we can do a rewatch party or something ourselves. The whole deal. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like more people are going to watch the draft because there is no sports, right? I mean, more people that just normally wouldn't care are going to want to watch it just because.
And also, as a buddy of mine put it, this is going to be an absolute it could be a huge disaster. It could be watching it. It'd be like watching a NASCAR race for the Recs, because all the coaches and administrators, everybody, all the people involved with the leagues are all going to be at their own homes, and none of them are going to be together. None of them are going to be doing this. There's going to be an open speakerphone line between the ADs, all 32 ADs, general managers, and everything. Yeah, so I'm watching that, and I'm actually going to do a Zoom call with my Falcons buds. We'll do that the whole time.
Well, how are we going to boo Goodell? Do you just boo him?
I didn't look at it because I think booing Goodell is stupid, but there's actually something going on. I think people are just doing a tweet, like a little tweet, like hashtag boo Goodell, or I don't know what there's something going on social media, and maybe it's people posting videos of them booing Goodell whenever he comes on. I don't know, but there is something going on social media to make sure that Goodell gets his boos.
I think the general idea of it is stupid. I agree with you, but the fact that it is so consistent is eventually funny. There's something to it where I start cracking up.
It really started when they were doing everything in New York City, and the Eagles fans would just drive up from Philadelphia and you just boo them just for anything.
Because they're Philly fans and they
Really,
just boo
they're
people.
all human beings, like
Yeah.
I would say they're one notch above Saints fans, but there's that's not possible. They're just,
They are widely known like throughout the world as the worst fans on the planet.
I think the Philadelphia fans are more like more violent fans,
Yeah.
whereas
Yeah.
Saints fans are just absolutely just garbage trash. Like
Right.
they know they can't afford bail, so they don't get into fights.
I think Philly just in general. I don't know. That's my experience.
I've
there.
never had a good time there. I've been there once.
Yeah.
I had a blast.
I was about to say you did the Rocky run, right?
Yeah, it was fun. I mean,
Oh, that's cool.
it was a good time, and I saw the Falcons play the following day.
Even better.
All right, so I'm going to skip questions for Ben because that was next on my list, but we did get a few questions.
We asked a bunch of questions. I think
Yeah,
that happened organically.
Yeah, it came out great. I think that was a good part of it. Maybe we can get him on again. We've got to answer these questions, so we'll get him back on maybe next week, or maybe we'll do a little midweek type thing. I don't know.
Whoa,
We'll see.
What?
it's crazy.
Maybe I'll just call him during his workday and be like, "Dude, answer these questions now."
Answer me. We're recording
Get
right
on
now.
Zoom right now.
You're
While you're
walking
working.
around an empty office building right now. Just answer these stupid questions he will ask. Actually, they're great questions.
He's like, fine. You're like, oh, welcome to State of Atlanta. Yeah. It's like 10 a.m.
Hey, I got. No, I was gonna say I have tomorrow off. I don't have tomorrow off. Kim took tomorrow off so I could work all day long, and
Oh, good for her.
maybe I'll take
Nice,
tomorrow off
man.
as well and just start drinking first thing in the morning. Nope, you're taking the day off. It's good.
This was the plan.
And so for a new segment that I want to call "Random Stuff I Combed from Social Media to Talk About,"
Okay.
Okay.
most, if not all, of
Isn't
this,
that all the things? I'm sorry,
Isn't
man.
this the whole episode? No?
no, this is the social media type stuff.
Oh, okay.
And I think maybe all of this came from the Barstool GSU account, which
Solid.
is a
Solid
Okay.
count.
follow.
Great
Solid
job.
follow. But I'm horrible at coming up with content ideas, so we'll just piggyback off what he's doing. He did, actually maybe this is maybe the one thing that's on him. No, it is him. There was a graph, and it was like the every team, all 130 teams, and their average chance of winning their conference, broken up to like very, very high chance to like not happening, microscopic, and everywhere. I think it was 5 levels, maybe 6. I think it was 5.
Yeah, I remember
Florida
that.
State came in, their chances of winning the conference came in right as average. And this is, of course, coming from just some fan or just some fan of college football. It's no stats or numbers. It's like we would have put it together if we came up with it or I came up with it or something. Like you guys pay more attention than I do. But we came in average, and I'm like, that's kind of where we belong, right? Like I think we have – if we can beat App State one season, then we can win at least play for the conference championship, right?
Yeah, I mean, if the dominoes fall the right way, you beat App State, they fumble someone, then, we sneak in there and
We
win the
beat
championship.
We beat App. We beat Southern. Southern
beats App.
We're in the conference championship, and we play against Lafayette.
It's that easy. That's a cake.
That's all we got to do. Is we win 2 games, and then we're in the championship. So I thought it was kind of cool, though. But it was whoever put that. I have no idea who put it together. I don't know if the Barstool account did or not, but
It was Auburn to you, but some notable people lower than us were Troy. Troy was
in the bottom level. Troy had
microscopic.
the least chance possible to win, or was in the
ULM, Texas State, they were all down there. But Troy, I thought was a weird like lowest score, right? I mean, like, and for us to be average and them to be like 2 levels below us, I was like, I don't understand.
Seems odd.
Maybe
right?
we're still riding that Tennessee win high for the.
Yeah. People respect us because that's all they know about us.
We got a little cred there. Just a little.
Exactly. But no, I thought that was pretty good. That's pretty good. Then he had another one. This is another Barstool one. He was trying to rank the hashtags for the university. Excuse me, for Georgia State. And the hashtags were State Not Southern, Light It Blue, Our City, and Panther Family.
All right.
I mean, we've used a lot more hashtags, but I guess those are the kind of ones that are not like season specific or whatever.
What'd you vote for, David?
I did Light It Blue.
I I didn't vote, but I like Panther Family a lot.
I think
So
Panther
none of us
Family-
won.
What's that?
None of us won.
No, what'd you vote for, Tim?
I vote for Lighted Blue as well, but none of us won.
Yeah, I like Light Blue. I like Our City. Panther Family. It seems to be a little bit of a forced one, a little bit to me, because I know that was actually like a university pushed hashtag.
Is
Well,
Lighted Blue not?
I guess Our City and Lighted Blue is as well, but they wanted to make Panther Family to be like, instead of Panther Nation, like a lot of schools do, like they're Mascot Nation, Bulldog Nation, or whatever. That was where that Panther Family came from. I kind of get it, but Lighted Blue, I think that's been the most for me. That's the one that has really kind of like energized the fan base and crowd, and we like. There's so much more to it. It's not just a hashtag. It's dropping the lights in a football stadium or basketball arena and actually lighting it blue. It's people like they're as crazed fans as us lighting their own porch lights blue or something like that.
It's a call to action, is what you're saying.
Yeah. But
And
it's,
But I have it on. It's on my profile. It's on my Twitter profile. So like, I obviously would have voted for that. But the problem is, it's been co-opted.
well, that one day. But
Is it only one day?
that was that. Well, they have the Twitter name, so they can use it whenever they want to now. But I mean, the State Not Southern, the winner, won big. I mean, 43% versus Lighted Boo. Lighted Boo.
Lighted Boo.
What can we do with that? That sounds like an Atlanta thing. Lighted Boo.
I get
Or
State
just
Not
like in
Southern.
October.
Yeah, I get State Not Southern winning, but then it's super specific. I don't know.
And it's too much attention on that team down south, man.
Exactly.
It's too much.
We should never lift ourselves up by putting them down. They should just be down and us be up.
I only put that hashtag when it's relevant to us as opposed to them, and that is not all of the Georgia State conversations, right? So like, I could put another Georgia State hashtag next to that I would put on all Georgia State.
One of those giveaway T-shirts, and I think it's a black T-shirt. The outline of the state of Georgia with the Panther head in the middle of it, and the back of it says hashtag State Not Southern. Toss that shirt. Nope, I'm not wearing anything that says Southern on it. Not happening.
Yeah.
I think I have that, and I think I still wear it around the house.
I kept it for a little bit, and it was my like around the house kind of shirt, and I felt dirty the entire time. I was like, I just got out of the shower and I put this shirt on. I already feel like I need to have a shower again. It's just, it's one
of those shirts that, like, if you know you're going to be working with bleach, you just like,
Right.
All right, I'll wear this. If I mess it up, I mess it up. Hopefully I mess it up right over Southern.
Exactly. Yeah. Dallas Statesboro. The next tweet that he had out there was, who will be the next P5 win for Georgia State? And Tim, you actually responded to this one. I think you were actually the only response that he got, other than himself.
Yeah, I just said Alabama, of course. I mean,
that's the next P5 game we play, right? So
yeah.
You can
we called that in like 4 episodes
right?
ago, right? We called that in 4 or 5 episodes ago.
Yeah.
It's a done deal at this point.
That's it. Yeah. I mean, we're all on even playing field now, right? Because we're all working out at home.
Yeah.
What we just talked about.
I think we gave all our players Apple Watches, right?
No, we have like the Fitbits from 4 years ago from like the what's it called? Not the replacement, refurbished Fitbits is what we have.
They actually they actually call all those all the players that got those are not allowed to play for the first game, disqualified. That's what I was looking for. And so they just disqualified the game and we win by default.
Well, that's not their first game.
Oh, we're not their first game? All right, two game disqualification.
So the Barstool accounts that North Carolina may be our next. They got Mac Brown as coach. They're probably going to get better.
Well, App State beat them, so.
Yeah, but in Mac Brown's first season, which was weird. They had a weird football season. I think the Vanderbilt game could be maybe our next P5 win.
Mac Brown was at Texas for a while, right?
Maybe Vandy should be the next P5 win, or at least a P5 win.
I'm not impressed with Mac Brown. He's the Texas coach, right? He was UNC
coach. I don't know if he did anything between UNC and Texas, but he went to Texas.
But he was Texas for a long time, and he kind of sucked for a while. But like he had done it for long
Yeah,
enough where people gave him the benefit of the doubt.
He was successful at UNC, from what I understand.
Uh,
I'm making a lot of this up.
What do you think about potentially beating South Carolina?
I don't know. I think that
Will it be better by then?
Coach Elliott doesn't want to do that. He wants to get that job later on. He doesn't.
I think
take a
Elliott would
knee.
love. I think he would love to do it.
You think? I
Yeah.
think so.
I hope so.
Better.
Have you guys? Well, David heard him talk about App State. He's like, we just want to like rip them a new one. He's like, I would like that school is like who I want to beat.
Well, I wish he felt that way about Georgia Southern. So
But he's got some personal
Yeah.
connections to App State, so
yeah, like his boss.
I like him not giving a shit about Georgia Southern. So
And that's the way it should be, and that's the way I want to be. But I can't stop not hating them. I don't
you
know.
can't focus too much, otherwise you'll lose the game, right? Because you're worried.
Right.
I don't know what you're talking about. Next tweet, again, I think it's still from Barstool. Did the voting on the best logo, and we have a jillion logos. He only included 6 in there, and really it was like maybe 3.5. It was really
Pantherhead won, right? Pantherhead.
It wasn't a poll. It was just a
Yeah.
tweet your response. And I don't know if he like posted this, deleted it, and reposted it, but I did tweet back to this, and my tweet is no longer there. So either I was really drunk and don't know what I did, but I remember getting likes on it from Barstool. But Tim, I think I saw your tweet.
Yeah.
I think you and I were 100% on the same page.
Like there's only one logo. There's only one logo.
That was number one.
Yeah.
One. The Panther head was number one. But yeah, so the options were, if I can remember in order, I'm going to try to remember in order, was number 1 was Panther head. Number 2 was the word mark, our current word mark. 3 was the GSU red underline. 4 was Panther head with the word mark. 5 was the blue and black push-up Panther logo with the word mark. And 6 was the blue and white Panther or push-up Panther with the word mark on that one. And so my order was Pantherhead first, Pantherhead with word mark second. Oh no, Pantherhead first, a word mark second, Pantherhead with word mark third, GSU fourth, blue and white push-up Panther. Actually, I think what I said was anything else ever again, then blue and white push-up Panther and blue and black push-up Panther. I think that was my order. Is that what you had, Tim?
Yes.
Yeah. When I saw your response, I'm like, I think we were dead on.
Yeah. Huh. It is gone. You're right.
You saw my response, right?
No, I don't see your response.
Maybe you saw it before though, right? It's not there now.
Yeah.
No, but
Yeah.
right now I'm on the search and I see the state of Atlanta response was 1, 2, 4, 3. Anything else you could come up with 6, 5.
I did not see it today. And you don't see it either, Tim?
I don't see it either.
I've
Yeah.
been shadow banned.
I see it.
It's weird.
Oh, no, I do see it now. Yeah.
I didn't see it. What do you guys think? I mean, like, I think it's pretty obvious. Pantherhead's the best logo we've ever had.
Yeah, and 2's good. And 4's good.
Yeah.
1, 2, 4, 3.
And then who cares about 5 and 6? Yeah.
But as long as 5 is the last one. Because that blue and black push-up Panther is absolutely horrible.
There was a funny image someone posted about that. They put they redid it and they put Georgia Southern as 2 in the trash can. That was kind of funny.
Oh, I didn't see that one. I did see someone posting the old profile, what I call the Chester Cheetah.
Yeah, I saw that.
Logo. That was pretty good. Man, we're late into this one. Do you guys want to keep going, or do you want to hold some stuff over to next week?
I mean, we can do next week. We can do last call. We can do whatever, man.
Yeah.
If we've already gone a while, like I think people don't like too long a podcast.
Yeah. Let's see. No, I want to keep going. So
Keep going.
Sounds about right. Sounds about right. You know, you
So
ask our opinion, you just do whatever the hell you want to do anyway.
only because I came across this looking for stuff today. I came across this on the the Sun Belt board, the CSN BBS, and I hadn't seen this anywhere else before, and I thought it was really cool, and I just want to talk about it myself. It was a 24/7 Sports article from A State Nation, so it's from Arkansas State's 24/7 board, and they had a proposition because of all the Sun Belt, the G5 schools struggling financially through this whole deal, this whole pandemic and everything. A 2-year kind of a hiatus on the Sun Belt and Conference USA, because the cost of travel being what it is when you're trying to move these teams around, the flights and everything, their proposition was for the next 2 years, the Sun Belt and the Conference USA join forces, but you break into 2 different conferences. You take the Sun Belt East teams and the Conference USA East teams, and that becomes a new conference. And the Conference USA West teams and Sun Belt West teams become a new conference, but just for 2 years. And they still operate as Sun Belt and they operate as Conference USA. And so basically the East teams would be the Sun Belt Conference, or as they call it, the Sun USA. And the West divisions would be USA Sun Conference. And
It should be C-Belt, but that's neither here nor there.
No. So there's two different conferences.
I know. And that second one should be C-Belt.
Well, they're trying to do Sun USA and USA Sun, just kind of flip-flop back and forth. But I think you could do USA Belt or Belt USA, or USA Belt sounds pretty good, but C-Belt's not bad.
C-Belt?
But so that would put us in a conference. And also, this is just for Olympic sports. This is not for football. Football still operates as normal.
Okay.
So there's so few games. That would put us in a conference for 2 years. Basketball, baseball, soccer-ish, volleyball, whatever. Marshall, Old Dominion, Charlotte, App State, Middle Tennessee, Western Kentucky, Coastal, the Garbage Down South, us, Florida International, Florida Atlantic, South Alabama, and Troy. So do you
So do we separate into north-south divisions?
There had to be some. Have to be some kind of other thing, but it's not football. So you can still play every team in there.
Yeah.
It's not football. And then so that actually makes 2 13-team divisions, or 2 13-team conferences. And since UAB and South Alabama are basically right on the borderline of both, UAB is technically in the West, with South Alabama being in the East. You could flip-flop and you could let UAB join the West or let South Alabama join the East. I say UAB joins the East. It would be a 14-12 conference. I think that would actually be a lot of fun. It still doesn't get us that Metro City kind of conference that we want, but I like the regionality of the whole thing.
And it's all the teams that I wanted to play when we joined the Sun Belt in the first place, and they got rated.
The 4 schools, Middle Tennessee and Western Kentucky, were the 4 schools that I was excited about playing.
Yep.
We joined Sun Belt. Yeah. And then Old Dominion, an old conference foe, right? Were we in the conference with Old Dominion for a while?
We were, yeah.
Sort of, but not really with football.
Yeah, not with football, right? Plus, they're way better than us anyway, for them. So.
Yeah, but the thing is they've sort of been not good lately. So they started strong and then just fell off. Whereas we started weak and have been slowly gaining ground.
They took a 4-game home and away with Virginia Tech, I think.
That was a good coup right there, getting Virginia Tech to do it. But it's different up in Virginia football-wise. So I think they had a better chance of getting that scheduled.
The funny thing I think about this whole deal is the other side, the West, is pretty much like the Texas-Louisiana League, because you've got UTEP, Rice, Texas State, UTSA, UT Arlington, North Texas, Ulala, La Tech, and Monroe. Then Arkansas State, Little Rock, Mississippi, UAB, but there's over half the conference is just those 2 states.
That makes sense. I mean, that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
So what happens in 2 years when we do this, and then all the schools are
Shit,
I don't
this
want to
made
keep
sense.
it.
Yeah.
like,
That was my question to you guys. It's like once you get that regionality of the whole deal. Again, this is not football. This is just basketball and the Olympic sports. But you're taking buses everywhere versus flights. That's a pretty appealing concept.
Yeah, it starts making a lot of sense.
Yeah, and then it turns into like a Sunbelt Conference USA super conference with 26 teams.
that'd be insane.
4 divisions.
4 divisions. We have our own playoff for the conference championship,
That'd be
Right.
awesome.
or for football that would be. Yeah,
That would be amazing. You have sold me on this idea.
I told you on it.
That we should just merge, have 4 divisions, have a 2-round playoff with all of with division champions. Just
Get 'em wrong.
for
It could be your own league. We have our own league of college football.
dude, I'm in. This is awesome. This is such a good idea.
It's not bad, but we're still really the only.
David? Use your powers, make it happen.
Yeah, it works, right? But still, we're the only like major city included in this, right? Oh no, I guess somebody's.
Where's FIU, FAU? Because those are probably major
Miami.
cities.
FAU is Boca, and FIU is Miami-ish.
Yeah.
And then
Miami Beach.
Murfreesboro is like what, 30 minutes outside of Nashville?
I think it's 45 miles. So
Yeah, it's not far.
It's like a half hour.
about
Give or
that.
take.
Yeah, I would think that after 2 years of doing this, there would probably be a lot of push by a lot of fans and maybe even athletic directors to mix things up. Maybe you start a new conference or you start a new couple of conferences. I don't know. It'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, especially Western Kentucky, all the bourbon up there.
Yes, I would be a big fan of Western Kentucky. You have an excuse to go there once or
I
twice.
gotta go tailgate this weekend. I gotta go Thursday. I don't
We
know
know
why.
Max
wine and
beer,
beer.
wine. I always get it wrong.
It's wine, beer, spirits, liquor. It's 2 of those words with an and in between. Max
Beer and one.
there we
Max
go.
sells booze in Midtown.
Yeah, and he goes up to Louisville once or twice a season to buy some barrels just for them. So I'm sure he'd probably be on for this whole thing. We could
Nice.
ride his coattails up there.
My dad lives in Bowling Green, so I have all the
Nice.
reason in the world to go up there.
There you go. There you go.
Even
Yeah.
better.
So this is just a fan site writing about it. Obviously, there's not like this is what conferences
No, this is real, right?
we're talking about. This is real enough for me. So
I'm all in. Let's do it.
good. That'd be really good. And then we
Well,
went-
it's like what I asked Ben, like who do I need to write a letter to? You know, I'll write a letter.
Yeah, we need to get rid of that boss.
you don't even read letters. You're gonna write one.
Yeah, no, my voice is much more important, right? Like everything I write down matters. So
You should write the letter to Cobb and just say, "I'll read your letter if you read mine."
it's not a bad idea. You might be
Or,
like,
or I think you should just get every time you get an email from Cobb's email. I think you should don't read his. Just read the subject line. Like I'm gonna write my version of this.
but I think it just says like "State of the Panthers" or something.
Jude. It's like, well, we're not playing a lot of games right now, so we're okay.
Well, when we start playing our games, if we win more games than the other teams play,
All right,
win, then
Charlie Madden.
I mean it's what we're doing, man. That's what those things are. Like you even just talked about that when you when we were talking about the letter, you were being like, "There's not very much detail in here. I didn't learn anything by reading it, so why would I read that?"
Like, we're gonna stop spending money, and like, I wish that my bill collectors would say that was okay.
Yeah. I think the only things I learned that made me feel better are the conversion of 188, right, for soccer, which fine.
But also,
But-
fundraising campaign to go for it. It's not paid for. There's a fundraising campaign for
It's
it.
paid for, not paid for. It's
It was very
complicated.
confusing. Yeah.
Super complicated, but the Convocation Center is still going on.
Fun with
That-
accounting.
Yes.
Convocation Center is an educational facility, and it's very important for the future of Georgia State to build it out.
It's an academic facility. Let's not say it's an education facility.
Academic.
Except for when we school teams on how to play basketball.
What basketball? It's actually a class.
Exactly. How to whoop ass. The class.
Yeah.
How to whoop ass 101. Yeah, we killed that one. I don't really have much on any kind of news about sports in the pandemic, except for we kind of talked about it last week. Conferences asking, schools asking for some leniency. G5 schools asking for leniency in the NCAA restrictions and everything. So athletic departments are doing some pay cuts, but there's questions about whether or not the head football coaches get their pay cut. So there's a big concern, like, all right, so you have some employees making, 40, 50, 70, 80 grand a year that are doing forced pay cuts. And then, like, this is Arizona, head coach is getting paid $3.5 million a year and not getting a pay cut. That's an interesting one.
Yeah, I mean, so weirdly, it's the nature of contracts, but like, I would hope that head coach would be able to do the right thing, because like they're probably doing okay.
Yeah.
And,
Right.
Well, so
and the ratio there is so bad, right? Because there's probably not that many employees compared to the head coach.
right. Well, so like it doesn't make that big of an effect towards us because Coach Elliott's not making $3.5 million a year. He's
Right.
No, he's making $500,000 a year, which is great money.
Plenty.
Don't get me wrong, but we were talking about somebody making 50 grand a year compared to a guy making $3.5 million. There's a big gap.
Yeah.
Someone making 50, living in Atlanta, and somebody else making 500 grand.
Well, because their staff is probably making a very similar amount to our staff.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, it's. I don't know how you can. Well, I guess it comes down to contracts. Do they have pandemic clauses in these people's contracts?
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on how it all goes down, because like coaches have like agents and they negotiate the contracts to whatever degree and whatever. And like, I know when you got hired, you didn't like hire a lawyer to like look over your employment contract, right? I mean, you just didn't do that.
Do you want money or not?
Because here's my option: sign this contract and get paid, or don't sign this contract and not take this job.
Yeah, it's just the nature of that is different.
Exactly.
Right.
But you'd still expect a coach that's making $3.5 million to sort of like to do the right thing, right? Like if there's 10 employees that are going to get a pay cut, and like he could take $1 million off of $3.5 million, like you hope they'd do it.
Take one for the team, right?
There's all. I mean, in so many aspects, loyalty is a big thing, and how do you create loyalty as a coach is taking that self-imposed pay cut.
Yeah.
To either just be on par with your subordinates, or maybe even to take your money and be like, all right, I'll pay their deduction.
Supplement. Right.
10% deduction. I'll take a 40% deduction and pay that difference, or I don't know. Not something I think that affects Georgia State at all. But
no, but I mean, yeah.
Interesting.
I would judge the coach that took their full allotted payment while their employees were getting a cut, especially like given the ratio, like just because there's so few of them, they can make it up.
Head football coaches are the highest paid players on most state payrolls. That's not just in university. I mean, like, as far as who gets paid the most in the state of Georgia, it's probably Kirby Smart, right? It's probably the highest paid person in the state of Georgia.
Yeah, in most states it is whatever popular sport in that state, which is usually basketball or football, or I think there's weird ones that are hockey. There's a couple that are hockey, I think.
That makes sense.
And there's a couple of university presidents on the list that are like the highest paid public employee, but it is usually whatever popular sport there is.
Yeah, if you've got a P5 team in your state, it's probably that football coach that's highest paid, or if you're ACC, it's your basketball coach or something.
I mean, if you're making $3 million, you hope you can take a hit for a year of $1 million.
Yeah, well, it's all.
Trip your styles just a little bit.
If you're making $3.5 million a year and living to paycheck, you got a problem, buddy. And it's probably going right up your nose.
Wow. Just call him right
We're
on
right
out.
there.
Just call him out. That's it. You just put him on there, man.
But no, so I think all G5 conferences have asked for leniency with NCAA. We talked about that last week, but came out like the day afterwards that Cobb and Georgia State were one of those schools that asked for that. I did find
there was an AJC article that was all about us asking.
Yeah,
so.
AJC was trying to point out that Georgia State was not doing well or asking for some help. So, of course, AJC is going to jump in on that about how we're not doing that great.
Any press is good press. I don't know.
Any press. But I thought it was weird that the article headline that I saw was 5 FBS programs, including AAC and Conference USA, asked for assistance. So the only 5 programs that asked were all the G5 programs. They had to toss in AAC and Conference USA. Understandably, AAC is the best G5 conference. Conference USA is not the second best conference. I guess it's the most known or most. Just whatever.
This was in the AJC article.
Yeah, it was.
It was some article.
I think it was the AJC.
If it was the AJC article, like they're garbage, right? Like you don't even want to line your bird cage with this crap.
Well, there's a lot of talk about multiple FBS programs dropping to FCS.
Yeah, I got to worry about our friends at ULM. They have a super tiny budget.
Oh, hand raise. We have friends at ULM.
Yeah, they're in our conference. We're friends. We just beat them.
I don't know.
We just beat them.
I don't know.
I would lose absolutely zero sleep over them dropping out of FCS.
What fan base in this conference would you call friends?
None of them.
I mean, I'll give you Texas.
Friends.
I'll give you Texas State.
We commiserate with them because we were both terrible.
Exactly. Okay. I would even give you App State to the extent that enemy of my enemy type thing.
No, I've found myself rooting for App State in out of conference games in a way that I don't root for other teams in our conference. I don't like root against them. I just don't care. And
then you take the basketball schools, the Little Rock and the Arlington.
Yeah,
and that's kind of like, I feel like that's like the little kid. Like it's like your youngest sibling's youngest kid. You don't care that much about. You just kind of like rub their head when they walk by Thanksgiving. Oh, you go, Johnny? Is that your name? Like, kind of thing. So I don't hate the basketball only schools, but Texas State and App State only because of Miami. Other than that, I don't have any friends in this conference. I don't like anybody in this conference. Am I friends with Coastal? No. You should have never moved up, and you have an ugly field.
I was going to say, and you have an ugly damn field.
Yeah, it's horrible. Once you get a Division I field, then maybe we can talk. But until then, no.
Nice. You got me thinking about this, man, and I think you're right. Like, I just don't – I appreciate App State a lot, and then basically no one else.
But to Tim's horrible point about them being our friends, I think Monroe has a lot to consider about dropping down to FCS.
They probably should have before this. So
I mean, it's like 8 million or 7 or 6, some stupid low number.
There's not a one in front. There's no number in front of the other number.
Right. And I'm like, how the hell do they function?
Well, so the whole differentiation between FCS and FBS is all about budgets. And so if there are FCS budgets above them, then they ought to swap.
Right. Yeah. Well, I guarantee. I have no information on this whatsoever, but I would have to imagine that North Dakota State, James Madison, Missouri State, all Jacksonville State probably all have budgets over Monroe.
Yeah, I also am talking completely out of my ass, and I agree with you 100%. That has to be true.
James Madison's $35 million in 2015.
There you go. James Madison was easy. I mean, have you seen that stadium? It's beautiful.
It's pretty. Yeah.
I've driven past 180, whatever that road is.
Yeah.
Right past that.
Yeah. It's surprising how nice it is.
Yeah, so Monroe should move down. No, not insulting Monroe. I mean, not that I respect them at all, but it's not an insult. I'm just saying they probably deserve.
No, you just belong where you belong. It's okay, man. Like,
I'm impressed that they're still in FBS.
Oh, they have that. They're
right of a budget, and they're competitive-ish. I mean,
no, they're not though.
They're riding that. They're riding that Nick Saban win from like what was it, like 15 years ago or something?
Yeah. They're not competitive at all. Like they've been perennially terrible.
I don't want to get into it, but Southern should move down. Who else in Sunbelt should move down? Coastal's the other one.
Coastal.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they said that they had like the CEO of Coastal or something was their coach, right?
Yeah.
No, it was some stock.
Oh, something like. Yeah.
I don't think he's still the head coach.
No, he's moved off. He's still heavily involved though. Like he's still in the leadership structure, whatever it is. But he stepped down from being head coach. Yeah.
South Alabama, keep him.
Yeah, they're fine. They're fine.
I mean, keep them. It's not my decision. We keep them or leave them. I'm just saying programs that probably should stay or go. The state of Alabama has got enough football fans to support any number of FBS
They're
programs. I don't see South Alabama going anywhere at all. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to find. I don't know that crap, but
I'm not like trying to tell them that they should drop down like I am other schools.
Yeah,
ULM, Southern, Coastal.
But this would be a very interesting conference shuffling. It's not like the blue chip P5 programs pulling up lower blue chip or lower P5 programs, and then the G5 moving. No, this would be literally programs dissolving or dropping down in rankings.
It's more like relegation, right? Like what you see in soccer, where like the worst programs,
like Premier League.
Yeah. So because what we would have to do as the Sun Belt is like poach down into FCS for like their best, right? So we'd be dropping our lowest budgets and grabbing FCS's highest budgets.
So you
just grab Liberty.
Get Matterson.
Come on, man. Get the.
You always gotta have a Liberty comment for you in a podcast.
What is the highest rated? And I don't know the answers. I don't have any suggestions. What is the highest rated or ranked or program that could possibly drop down to FCS? I guess. All right, what conference has highest ranked conference probably has somebody that could drop down? Are there any P5 conferences that could have someone drop down?
No.
Because don't forget, American had UConn drop down to FCS this past season or this season, whatever it is. So
UMass, but are they? They're independent right now, right?
Yeah.
They're independent. So if the highest rated G5 program can lose a team to FCS, is there a P5 program that could drop to FCS?
Too much money on their conferences that they get. There's no one in there who's going to drop down. Not going to happen.
They would need to have a conference like just change, like blow up or something for a team. So if you were to blow up all the conferences and just say everybody right now,
there's no room.
There's 130 independent football teams. Create new conferences today. There's probably some P5 programs that don't stick around. Not as P5 at least.
I don't know.
They'd be in the American. I don't know.
That was reaching.
Well, no, because like the thing is I think where you're getting at is like there are the UCFs of the world that would get picked up that are not currently P5, and so like how do you make room for them?
There's the Kentuckys or the I don't even.
Yeah, but you keep Kentucky for basketball though, right?
You do, yeah.
They go to the Big East.
Maybe. We'll see.
Big East, not football.
Yeah, I mean we won't see because this is totally made up. But
actually, yeah, that's all I have.
Sounds like we have a project to work on.
That's all we have. Good, because I gotta pee so bad.
Yeah, so that's all we have. I think for this week on the regular episode, which Hell, guys, this may be getting close to 2 hours.
Wow.
I was looking, man. We're almost 11 o'clock.
Yep. All right, then go ahead and close this one out. We'll go ahead and do a bathroom break and refill our coolers and stuff and talk about what we came on last call.
beers.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks, Ryan, for being here. Thanks again to Ben for joining us from 24/7 Sports, which I don't think I included whatsoever at all in my introduction of him. But he was wearing
He wore the hat the whole time, so anyone that's watching.
So, yeah. All right. Thanks, guys, and we will resume this on last call. Available on Patreon, patreon.com/State of Atlanta, free to everybody on Friday, included immediately to all of our patron members. Thanks, everybody, and see you next week. Go Panthers!